With us now is Derrell Peel. Derrell, how are the livestock markets looking right now?
You know, markets are holding up very well this fall. Feeder cattle markets are quite strong. We're running about 15 to 16% above a year ago across the board, from lightweight feeder cattle all the way through the heavyweight feeder cattle. And of course, fed cattle markets have been holding pretty steady too. This is normally, for fed cattle markets, about the seasonal low of the year. And obviously, we've got some stronger underlying trends that are helping support these markets. The feeder cattle markets, the calves may come under a little bit of seasonal pressure here in the next month, but it's actually looking like we may not see too much of that seasonal pressure this fall.
Well, obviously, you know, we've been in a drought, and so typically this time of year we're talking about wheat pastures in September. Is there anything to talk about right now?
Well, it's quite spotty. Obviously, we do have a lot of dry conditions. You know, USDA's crop progress, the latest one, shows that we are planting some wheat in Oklahoma. In fact, we're a little bit ahead of schedule. It's just getting started. And I don't know how much of that is producers dusting it in, if you will, hoping for a rain. There's a few spots that do have some moisture. So obviously there's some interest in that. And you know, we're not sure this year whether we're going to use wheat pasture for stocker cattle like we normally do. We're short on feed in a lot of cases, so we may be interested in using wheat pasture for cows and calves as much as anything this year. So it's a little uncertain right now in terms of what we'll see for wheat pasture, but there's certainly some interest in it.
So if we have winter grazing, what do the budgets look like for that?
You know, if there is a possibility of doing some winter stockers this year, the budgets actually look pretty attractive right now. The way the feeder cattle markets prices are from lightweight to heavyweight, the value of gain right now looks pretty good. If you look at the futures market for feeder cattle out into the spring and into next year, there's an uptrend in there. There's actually a significant premium built in there. So you could lock in an even better value of gain, if you will, at this point in time. So if we can do it, the budgets look pretty attractive right now.
So what can we expect to see with the markets in the next few weeks?
Well, you know, again, we've got kind of competing forces, if you will. You know, normally we see a fall run of calves. That puts pressure on the market, especially for the lightweight feeder cattle. And we'll have some fall run, but we know that the runs this summer have been bigger than usual in terms of volume of feeder cattle through auctions. So there may be a little bit less of that fall run than normal. At the same time, we also count on having things like wheat pasture in the fall to generate demand for feeder cattle. We may or may not have that this year. So it's a little bit uncertain, but underneath it all, again, there's this general trend of stronger prices because cattle numbers are working their way tighter and tighter. And so there's probably going to be generally pretty good support for feeder cattle prices over the next few weeks.
Well, thank you, Derrell, and we'll be sure to keep an eye on those markets.